What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and we're going to take a little bit of a step back into the past here, courtesy of Major Nelson. He reminded me of something he just tweeted out today, of something I didn't even think of whatsoever, and something that never even crossed my mind at all. And today is the 15th anniversary of the first day that Microsoft launched Xbox Live on the original OG Xbox. Think about that. 15 years ago today, Microsoft revolutionized console online multiplayer gaming. Or at least they laid the groundwork for it. Because obviously online multiplayer gaming had always been huge on PC for years at that point. But even though the Dreamcast had it, even though the PS2 had it, and even though the GameCube had it, they were all very minor afterthoughts really, versus the OG Xbox, which had it built in, designed around the console from the ground up, from a broadband network, much different to what you'd have with Dreamcast, with, depending on where you lived, a 33k modem or a 56k modem. The GameCube, which was two separate adapters that you'd have to buy, one for DSL and like broadband, and one for 56k. Funny enough, I have two of them, one of each. And the PS2, which first was sold separately as a USB to Ethernet adapter, and then eventually came built into the later refreshed console. But Microsoft obviously built it in from the ground up. It was designed with all that exactly in mind. So if it was 15 years ago today, the 15th of November 2002, what was my first experience with Xbox Live? And just we'll take a quick look over the years at my experience with Xbox Live. From OG Xbox, because yes, I did play online with OG Xbox, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. And just for shits and giggles, we'll throw in a little bit of a Games for Windows Live in there too. But just to completely mindfuck some of you younger viewers out there, or maybe even some of the people who only joined up with Xbox Live between, say, even the start of the 360 onwards, or on Xbox One. Believe it or not, Xbox Live, despite its perception nowadays of being full of 12-year-olds who want to fuck your mother, actually used to be extremely civilized. Trust me, I was there. Xbox Live was pretty damn civilized until maybe late into the Halo 2 generation, or time frame. So if Xbox Live launched 15 years ago in 2002, when was my first time, and what was my first time to try, my first game to try with Xbox Live? Well, it was about a year after Xbox Live launched, so it would have been around this time of year, 14 years ago for me, because it would have been in late 2003. It would have been end of November, or maybe at some point in December, because I do remember it was before Christmas. And I still remember what game it is. And I looked up the launch time of that game, and it fits in perfectly well. Because the game, which launched in November of that year, and the fact that I remember it was still before Christmas, fits in perfectly. So that game for me was Rainbow Six 3. That was my first ever Xbox Live multiplayer game. And I fucking loved it. I was hooked on that shit. It was Terrorist Hunt all day, every day. Absolutely loved it. Then when the expansion came out, I needed to get it. I had to get it. It improved on it in basically every way, and that was my jam. I played that hardcore for so long. Well, I say so long, but up until Halo 2 came out the following year. And of course, Halo 2 is, like I said, Microsoft kind of laid the groundwork for revolutionizing the console multiplayer online space, and Halo 2 really did that. There's a few games I credit with making huge monumental leaps in the online multiplayer console space, at least. Halo 2 is one of them. Several years later, Modern Warfare 1, aka Call of Duty 4. But when it came to a bunch of Xbox Live games on the OG Xbox, it wasn't just limited to those two games. I didn't just play Rainbow Six 3, and I didn't just play Halo 2. I actually played a lot of Splinter Cell as well. Now, obviously the first Splinter Cell game didn't have online multiplayer. It did have two specific, unique, downloadable extra missions, which I actually still have on my OG Xbox, believe it or not. But I played a shitload of stuff like that. I played a shitload of the two Splinter Cell games. The two ones that had online. You know, back when Ubisoft actually made good games. And believe it or not, also probably the last racing game I played, Project Gotham Racing 2. I played a shitload of that online as well. While I didn't have it back in the day, I still do have the extra content downloaded on my Xbox. I also have the Knights of the Old Republic extra expansion thingy. I think it was one extra planet with a bunch of extra stuff in it too. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Steel Battalion. Yeah, that game with the giant 40-button 3-pedal controller. Yeah, I have both Steel Battalion 1 and 2, and I played a lot of Steel Battalion 1 online. Although the internet here wasn't that great back in the day, and I frequently recall when a lot of stuff was happening in very, very close proximity of Steel Battalion, my internet just wouldn't be able to handle it and I'd drop. So fast forward a little bit to the start of the Xbox 360. I didn't get my Xbox 360 until 2 or 3 months after launch. I believe it launched at the end of August, maybe it was. It could have, no, sorry, it was November of 2005, I believe. And I didn't pick up my Xbox until maybe January or February. And of course, I went straight online with it. And the rest is basically history. Because my 360 was my console of choice that generation. All my friends used their 360 as their primary console as well. So over all the years, so many games we've played. The biggest ones I can easily say that I've played on my 360 that were the most time invested: Modern Warfare 1, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Halo 3, Halo 4, and believe it or not, Battlefield 3. Oh, Halo Reach and ODST as well. Gears of War 1, Gears of War 2, and Gears of War 3. Honourable mention for Final Fantasy XI and Phantasy Star Online. Without a shadow of a doubt, those are all games that required significant investment from me. Not required, but had significant investment from me. Whenever a new game came out and it was online multiplayer, of course, we all had the 360. We all played it on the 360. And before we move on to Xbox One, I'm going to look back at one or two other things as well. Of course, the Xbox Live subscription has increased in price over the time. And in general, I don't like paying for online multiplayer services. They should be free, after all. These companies are trying to hook us in to play on their games, to play on their console, to play on their servers. They should be offering this to us, not making us pay for it. Having said all that, I haven't been subscribed to Xbox Live this entire time. Otherwise, I would have got that free 10th anniversary Xbox a few years ago. But overall, with what you generally get from Microsoft, the quality of the Xbox Live servers and service is significantly better than the PlayStation Network and is leagues and unbelievable, immeasurable distance ahead of whatever Nintendo is jokingly offering at this point. Again, having said all that, I do want to clarify that I still don't agree with paying for Xbox Live, but it's the best of the worst, if you will. And before we move on to Xbox One, I'll bring up two extra little points as well. We've got the whole Games for Windows Live deal. If you're not familiar with what that was, in the early to mid, hell, it lasted probably for the majority of the 360. Microsoft were trying to bring the whole Xbox 360 ecosystem and menu style, and they were kind of trying to build it all into one over to the PC, so it would all kind of function together. The problem was, PC gamers hated this. They tried to force us to pay to play Games for Windows Live games online. We had to pay Xbox Live subscriptions to try it at first, or at least that's what they tried to make us do. We were having none of it, and we straight up did not buy Games for Windows Live games. And eventually games that had Games for Windows Live service required on it just didn't sell on PC. All the other companies started bailing and they said, hey, we're not using Games for Windows Live. We're not going to get any sales on PC. Eventually Microsoft agreed and they abandoned it too for their own stuff. And it kind of went the way of the dodo. Unfortunately, it's kind of raised its ugly head again in the sense of the Windows 10 store and UWP on Windows 10. But we're gradually fighting back against that. So that's not too much of an issue. And last up and last but not least, before we move on to Xbox One, I want to put in an extra little funny bit that I used to do back in the day as well. Because Halo 1 had no online multiplayer on Xbox, it would only support split screen and LAN play, there was a cool little program you could run on your PC called Xbox Connect. As kind of ironic as that is because of, Connect, but no, it was CONNECT, Xbox Connect. So what you would do is you would plug the network cable from your OG Xbox into your PC and then your PC into your modem. You could run Xbox Connect and it would basically be like an almost online multiplayer chat room kind of thing, almost. But what it really did was Xbox Connect tricked your Xbox to looking through your PC and then through the internet to find other people hosting rooms. So it essentially tricked your Xbox into thinking you were on one big LAN, one big actual wired network in your home. And you could play Halo 1 online using that, which was brilliant because again, this was in the early 6th generation, or at least the early days of the Xbox, the OG Xbox. And this was pre-Halo 2. So that was a big deal, and that was absolutely awesome. One other very, 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 very small little tidbit that I just remembered before we move on to Xbox One. I mentioned the whole games for Windows Live thing a little while back. It's actually funny, I have a couple of games for Windows Live games. Off the top of my head, I believe I have 3 of them. Definitely have Fallout New Vegas, which I actually redeemed on Steam and gave me a Steam version of it. Resident Evil 5, which was eventually converted over to a Steamworks version, but unfortunately that rendered all achievements unobtainable on the Games for Windows Live version, which really fucking sucks because I believe I was missing one achievement that I was in the process of getting when that happened. And believe it or not, the final one I have is actually Gears of War. The original, non-remastered, non-ultimate edition, just original Vista, believe it or not, PC version of Gears of War 1. Which, funny enough, to this day, as a huge Gears of War fan, connoisseur and buff, I consider that to be the definitive edition of Gears of War 1. Not the 360 version, not Gears of War Ultimate on Xbox One, not Gears of War Ultimate on Windows 10, but the original PC port of Gears of War 1 is, in my opinion, the definitive edition of Gears of War 1. Anyway, moving on back to Xbox One. Don't worry guys, we're almost finished this video. Obviously when it comes to Xbox One, my amount of time and my involvement with Xbox Live has significantly decreased. Realistically, when Xbox One first came out, I did play a decent amount of Dead Rising online. All of my friends who had got Xbox Ones played Dead Rising 3 at that point, so we could all play it online together. However, with the very sparse amount of games that I've bought on Xbox One over the years, from 2013 all the way to now at the end of 2017, like, I've got something like maybe 7 or 8 Xbox One games. Some of them aren't even online multiplayer. No one else bought Dead Rising 4, lucky for them. Funny enough, most of them didn't buy it out of my recommendation of not buying it. We did play some Gears of War Ultimate Edition co-op online though, I will say that much. We played a bunch of Gears of War 4, we played a bunch of Halo 5, as well as a bunch of the Master Chief Collection. Of course, the Master Chief Collection was co-op because versus competitive multiplayer in that game is absolutely broken. But that's basically it, with the exception of originally Gears of War 4, because I was playing on Xbox One originally on that because I hadn't upgraded to Windows 10 at the time. We did play a decent amount of that, both Horde and online co-op. But the big one for me is, it's basically the only reason I still pay for Xbox Live, and that is the ability to play Halo 5 Guardians Warzone Firefight. Now, I know actually there's one other one in there as well. I got a free digital copy of, what was it? Call of Duty Advanced Warfare a while back. Now I say a while back, like maybe 2 years ago at this point. And one of my friends had the game and he had the season pass for it, so we game shared and I played through the story, sure, but the big thing is we played through all the zombies maps and all that stuff because I got access to all his DLC. He had Call of Duty Ghosts the same way, so I could download that. We played through Extinction for a while. But to be honest, with the exception of Advanced Warfare, like, Extinction didn't really last too long, but Advanced Warfare actually kept us going for a few weeks, if not maybe a month or two. So there's definitely fun and times and good times and fun and everything to be had. I mean, hell, a lot of, I was going to say Rainbow Six, a lot of Resident Evil 5 playthrough on 360. Hell, believe it or not, even a bad game can be played with friends online and made fun. In this case, Operation Raccoon City. Managed to play that 4-player and it was actually pretty tolerable. But realistically now all I do is just use my Xbox Live subscription for Halo 5 Guardians. It uses dedicated servers for Firefight, which is nice, especially in a day and age where games don't have servers. Well, the majority of them don't have dedicated servers, despite being 65, 70 euro AAA games. These companies can fuck off. So it's nice that Microsoft have all the experience in their other fields to back up the tech behind all this. So that's it. I'm just going to leave it there. This has been an overly long video, about twice as long that I actually thought it would be. Just kind of detailing the history of Xbox Live and how much time and fun can be had on it and how much enjoyment you can derive from it. Even if I don't agree with the practice of actually paying to play online, when I look back on it, I can't imagine what it would have been like if I hadn't paid to play online with all those times with my friends. But that's it anyway, guys. Let me know how you're celebrating, I use the term very loosely with air quotes, the anniversary of Xbox Live, and let me know your own personal experiences with Xbox Live. What was the first game you played? When was it? Was it on Xbox 360 or Xbox One? How long have you been subscribed to Xbox Live? Have you, like myself, have you kind of let it lapse and then go back now and again? What's your biggest game time that you've put in? Like, do you remember playing I don't know, FIFA or Call of Duty or Battlefield for years straight. Let me know all that good stuff, all the good times you've had with Xbox Live. Sure, it's not perfect, it's not flawless, but it's a damn good time at the end of the day. Let me know all that good stuff in the comments section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the rest of the videos in my channel.